How do you understand what I'm saying right now? It may seem like a simple, straightforward, almost counterintuitive question, but it truly is such an important one. How do you understand what I'm saying? Well, the words that I'm outputting act as placeholders for the objects and things in our surroundings, and language is just a mere viable way of transport that these things and objects are communicated upon. Oftentimes, language is thought of as a game of ping pong, in which the talk is in the form of a ping pong ball going back and forth, endless as it may seem. But rather, language is much more complex than that. Instead, we can think of language as a stadium in which this ping pong game is held in, where so many more factors determine the way that this match is going, such as the rivaling cheers of the audience, cheering one player above the other to play their best game, or even the air humidity and air flow of the ping pong ball, affecting its speed and direction. Ultimately, so many more determining factors that we're even aware of. Language is similar in this regard, where there's so many more factors that determine it than we're even aware of. It's a process that's been hundreds and thousands of years in the making, with great empires, rich trading routes, even the literal seeds of culture and religion itself. But what about the things that we can't say? What about the experiences and the undergoing of journeys that we just can't seem to encapsulate within a singular word? Well, we do have a word for those, untranslatable words. In its simplest form, untranslatable words refer to the words in foreign languages that don't have a direct one-to-one translation in its fellow languages, one of the biggest being English. In fact, these untranslatable words don't refer to simple things or objects, but rather much more unconventional experiences and unusual situations in which they range much deeper into the human experience. But perhaps it might be easier to take an example for now. Sobremesa. It's a word in the Spanish language that refers to that unplanned yet enjoyable time spent at the dinner table with others, even after a meal has been finished. It's something we all can find ourselves relating to, and I guarantee everyone in this audience has at least related or been in this situation at least once in their lives. Maybe they just can't find the words to describe it, or even being aware of the situation happening. This word rose due to the heavy emphasis that Spanish culture places on sharing experiences with others, where they not only encourage it, but more on prioritize it. Consider the Inuit word iksualpok. It embodies the feeling of anticipation that leads one to keep looking outside, waiting for someone to come. But this word doesn't just describe a general natural feeling. More than that, it describes a cultural ethos in which this Inuit people and culture, they have such a sense of belonging and attachment to one another's tribe members that's so deeply embedded within their own culture. The Italian word of culicino describes a perspective perfectly of the true randomness of these untranslatable words. This word, quite literally, refers to the dark brown ring of liquid created by a coffee cup onto a surface. While seeming supposedly random, we can actually trace this word back to Italian roots of its deep coffee culture, with its authentic and ritualistic coffee traditions, its densely packed coffee houses, and over 20 different varieties of coffee, each accommodated to each of Italy's different regions. On the other hand, Japan gives us the word of ageatori, and it's a pretty humorous word that means to look worse after a haircut. I remember seeing this word the first time and laughing at it the first time I discovered it. But going deeper, we can actually realize how this word comes back to Japan's deep emphasis on its beauty standards, especially when perceived from a medieval standpoint, with its Nara and Edo periods in medieval Japan, in which women were very obsessed with having fair skin, long straight hair, and even using pigments to blacken their teeth and serving as their makeup. Within the world of stories, the Urdu word of Goya holds a perspective perfectly. While it is just a bare four-letter word, it does far beyond any translation could do for us. And it refers to that quick suspicion that one gets when a story is too exciting or too good to be true. And we can actually trace this word back to the Urdu storytelling tradition of Dastan Goi, in which a storyteller will sit on a marble surface, twine yarn onto a silver moon sky. So, what does this tell us? What can we take away from these untranslatable words? Well, they not only argue, but more than that, prove how an environment and language very directly correspond to each other, and how environmental factors determine a language's dictionary full of words. And there's a very simple expression that we can see this happening in. First, something triggers a culture to take notice and special attention of an experience happening. And then they create a whole new word to serve and define this experience, which other cultures might have overlooked or skimmed about or not even taken notice of. Interestingly enough, if we were to translate some of these seemingly untranslatable words into English via Google Translate, we would be left with these almost alien-like translations, showing how vital these untranslatable words are. With the rise of globalization and our fast-paced and rapidly evolving world, it can be seen how we're so quick to just resort to Google Translate in a case of translating anything. After all, Google Translate has a one-to-one direct translation of almost any word that's out there. But what this mere harmless process destroys are these untranslatable words. They miss these words, they skim about them, and they overlook them. And as a result, we're lessening down on the culture, on the accumulated culture we have together as a people. So, okay, untranslatable words exist, they're out there. But why are they important? And why are they important to an extent that we must latch onto them, we must take care of them? Well, with our litmus test of words, we're seen constantly using the same words over and over again, redistributing them between language. As you can see, we have a dictionary full of set words that we constantly use over and over again. But untranslatable words are the units that have the power to spread new ideas, to show something deeper about ourselves, not only as people, but as humans. And more than that, they tell us something that we would have just constantly overlooked, something that we wouldn't have even taken care of, things and experiences that we never get to talk about. Languages seem to be these centrifugal forces, and we've kind of made them as these things and concepts that fragment ourselves apart, as languages pose almost every possible difference between cultures, between people as a whole. But more than anything, languages actually show how we're the same, how we have these shared experiences and relatable outlooks on life, and how even these words from ethnic languages can be applicable to everyone, to every single person, every single culture around the world. Not as fragmented cultures and societies, but more on as one shared humanity. Thank you.